I have no audio. Hello?
Oh, we're muted.
We're muted.
Try that all again.
Okay, Talai, if you'd like to let us know you're there, just
What?
what?
We were muted that whole time.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so should I restart?
yeah, restart the meeting.
Okay, sorry
I
about that.
apologize. I don't remember muting.
Okay, so since it's after 6 o'clock, I'm gonna head call to order the Historical Commission for this meeting for this evening. We'll do the call, we'll do a quick roll call. Ed Home.
John Everson.
Erin Quinn Felchuk.
Jim Keough.
Kevin Wyckoff.
And online, we have Alan.
I'm here.
And
Can you hear me?
Talai.
I'm here. Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone.
She's low too.
We're hearing them both faintly. So with that, we definitely have a quorum for the evening. We had heard previously that Kimberly might not be here because of her work and the time here in the legislature. So first we'll start with the land acknowledgement. The Lacey Historical Commission meets on the ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian tribe and Squaxin Island tribe. We acknowledge and remember those tribal people not recognized today who were absorbed or relocated into other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors and their descendants who are still here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of the Treaty of the Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have the responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that have allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as they have today. We recommend that community members read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854.
Tulai, I'm gonna ask you to speak. Can you speak?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Oh, we see there.
Hello?
Oh, that's a little better. Okay, I'm gonna try one other thing here. Try again?
Hello? Test. Can you hear me? I kind of have no voice because I'm sick, but
Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm making you speak. That's really mean. Okay, try one more time.
test. Can you hear me?
They're all about the same.
Oh,
Okay. Well, at least it's a little better.
Okay.
It's hearable anyway.
So with that, let's go ahead and move on to approval of the agenda and minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda? Are there any changes that you'd like to suggest?
No.
Well, Alan, do you have any changes you want to suggest?
no.
No.
change for me.
Okay, sounds like nobody has any, so I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the evening.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, we approve the agenda for the evening. So we'll move up from there to the meeting minutes from November 20th. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at those?
Yes.
Are there any suggested revisions?
No.
No.
So hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval of the November 20th minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, Kim.
Second.
John, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Sounds like we have ayes. Anybody disapprove? Hearing none, we will consider the November 20th meeting minutes approved as well. And do we have any public comments tonight there that you know of for Carter? Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the business items. The 2024 accomplishments, which you should have received in your packet.
Well, and I can pull them up if you need.
Sure, why not do this?
Great.
Okay, there we go.
So you approved them last time, but with the only thing that has changed are like numbers. So like our History Talks numbers, we had 521 live participants this year and 588 post-event views. That means people who watch on YouTube later. And then I summarized our acquisitions, which you know all about because you approved them all. And we had 354 visitors this year. That was down a little bit, but we were closed for over a month. So most of that is because of that. And then we had over 2,000 YouTube views on all of our programs last year. So that's a nice reach, I think. And then we had 9 volunteers who gave 439 hours to the museum, which is also really nice. It's very helpful. So yeah, everything else is the same.
Okay, well, thank you for that update. And then I think we get to probably the biggest item we have for the evening, which is to discuss the work session that's coming up on January 28th.
Yeah, and I
A week
apologize.
from this Tuesday,
Yeah,
coming
a week
Tuesday,
from this
so
Tuesday,
to be
on the
clear.
28th. Jen was supposed to be covering this topic tonight, but she is ill and couldn't make it tonight. So she's written me up some notes, so I'll do my best, but we were gonna meet today and everything to talk about it, and we just didn't have a chance to do that, so. In 2 weeks, well, I guess it's, I don't know,
Short
a
2
week,
weeks.
a short 2 weeks, yeah. The commission has an opportunity to share their 2024 accomplishments with city council and bring the 2025 work plan for their approval as we do annually. And so we're gonna continue with the format that we started last year, where each board has about 30 minutes. According to the internal agenda, we're first, but until they put out the formal agenda, I can't say for sure. So you'll want to check the website, but if you show up at the beginning, you'll be there on time. So I am working with Jim to co-present for the museum and the historical commission, but it's shaping up nicely. I've got some slides put together. I need to finish wrapping up our talking points, and when Jen is back, then we'll get together with Jim hopefully and kind of hammer it out a little bit more. But I think it'll be good. We've already turned in our staff reports and everything to the city manager. Oh, we are gonna be first on the agenda. Jen's notes tell me that we're gonna be first, so they must have already made that decision. So we'll begin right at 6, and then the Parks Board will be after that. And then the Commission on Equity is after both of us. And so the meeting is hybrid, but I can't stress enough how important it is for everyone to attend this meeting and attend in person. It's meaningful to the council when you are sitting here in the room with them. It's the only time that you get to be at the table with them, and I think it's really important that everyone is here.
Want to unshare that, or is that part of it?
I can unshare it, yeah.
And the reason I asked is we're going to present the 2025 work plan to them, or they've already got it?
They've already got it in their, we've already submitted it for their packet. So yeah, this is the time, if you have anything that you really feel like we need to be putting in front of them, you know, I can talk to Jen about putting it in there. Regarding the museum project finance, we're not gonna be talking about that at this meeting because the PIFU, the Parks Funding Work Group, they are making their final recommendations to city council, and from that, a plan is being put together, so
I thought they did that last night. Did they not?
Carter,
That was the
help
meeting
me.
last night, was the, yeah, I watched that on TV.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's been presented, but the council hasn't talked about it at a work session, which is probably what they want to do.
Probably, I
Correct,
don't,
so a lot of what's happened thus far is just getting the council caught up to speed on what has happened. But as you likely know, Vice Chair, there wasn't a lot of detailed discussion from the actual council on how they necessarily felt about it or what their intentions were. It's mostly, again, just been getting them caught up to speed.
she wrote the note in a different place. So, the city manager would like Jen to discuss this project with city council after the Lacey Community Foundation finishes their work completing a 5-year fundraising plan for the city. They've been working on it and will be completing their work within the next 2 months. So PIFU and the separate contract that we have with the Lacey Community Foundation to work on that 5-year fundraising plan.
And this is probably premature, but is there any anticipation that they're going to be making any kind of presentation to the ledge during this session for capital monies?
I have not heard that
Okay.
they are. I'm not sure what the legislative priorities are this session
Okay.
for the city.
I
But
think,
I can ask Jen for,
yeah, I think the city has already adopted its legislative priorities, so somewhere on the website, there must be.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
I just don't know what, I mean, because this is coming in late, but still at the front end of the ledge session. Just kind of a question.
I agree with you. I would like to know. I've already forwarded a couple of emails. I've got 2 groups, community groups that want to know when can they send checks in? And I said, cool your jets. We don't know yet,
Right.
but I
Okay,
don't know that they want to hear
they've got
2
their
months from now, or
priorities
6 months.
up here. So their 2025 state priorities are 1, to develop long-term funding solutions for supportive housing acquisitions. 2, Thurston County Regional Basic Law Enforcement Academies at the Lacey Regional Training Center. 3, Regional Animal Shelter and Control Facility, and 4, Huntmer Park Civic Improvement Project.
Okay.
We're not in there.
Okay.
No, and there's 5
I-
policy items.
Okay. I just was wondering, I just know that in essence, I mean,
We're not-
obviously with the new governor, you have so much change of play here.
And we're not
Yeah,
in federal either, just FYI.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at that level. But I was also just thinking that, you know, by and large in this session, typically they don't start to release capital budgets at the Senate and House level until usually mid to late February, so I wasn't sure if there was any attempt to get to that or not, so.
Well, they're only short about 10 million, so it's no big deal.
Yeah, no biggie.
Well, yeah, but it's different between the operating budget and the capital budget too, so.
So in the city capital budget, is there any indication? Are we,
We're in the capital.
yeah, how many years out? Do you know what that one is?
I don't know where we are right now.
That might be kind of fun to learn at some point.
Yeah, well, and again, I mean, that just kind of a question in terms of how much we want to say or not say about that at the city council meeting, so.
Yeah,
So are there particular items that the council members have expressed to date or the city manager that they would want to hear from us about at the meeting?
We haven't been told anything in particular.
Okay,
Just
so
the
you
work
haven't-
plan and
You haven't
The
been given
accomplishments.
any guidance in that regard?
No.
Okay,
well, I'm good at embarrassing county and city council people, so I am going to ask about the status of the museum, the funding of it, where is it in the capital improvement project? I'll try to look that up ahead of time, so I already know the answer. I am working to be fired. That will be what I do.
that's what you're.
If you don't advocate for it, as the governor said today in his speech, be action oriented. So. The only other thing is Ferguson said, cut. We're gonna cut. But be action oriented.
Right. Well, it's,
Cutting's an action.
Cutting is an action.
Trying to see if I can find it.
It's not really the purview of the museum director, I understand that.
I know that,
You found it?
well, they're working on updating it, so this is all about the update. So I was looking to see if I could find the existing one.
Well, it was passed in December. They had to pass it. It was legally required.
It would just tell you the amount, not the timeline.
Pardon?
I believe that would just tell you the amount, not likely the timeline.
You're talking about the
Usually-
CIP.
Usually it's got a year attached to it. Oh, here it is. Capital Facilities Plan.
That's the one we want to see. It's only through 2042. So the question is, are we in the last year of that?
We're under major goals, that's something.
I think the last time I heard we were 2036.
Can
which
you
is
please stop
pretty darn
getting
far.
me to put, I don't want your AI assistant, leave me alone.
Yeah, I have the same issue with my computer and all these things.
Microsoft has got those high front and center and a lot of times at this point.
Well, to me, that's the bulk of the discussion. I mean, all this other stuff's important and good, but
Okay, it's in there at 2027 and 2028.
Okay.
no dollar amount.
No, it's got the dollar amount there. It's got 7.6 million each year.
Well, at least we're on the list.
I'll send you guys a link to that.
And,
so
and
that
within
you
our,
can-
and within our horizon, that's,
So everyone
at
can
least-
see.
Yeah, I'm
Within-
hoping to be alive still then.
yes.
But it's moved a lot, like every year they put this plan out.
That's,
Well, we were at 2026 at one point, but we got shoved back another year.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
so is there anything else that we should be discussing, right now about the planning for the, no one is plotting, that's John's term, planning for the work session?
No, I mean, that's
Okay,
pretty
so-
much it. We're
pretty
gonna
much waiting.
be, you know,
I guess I would like to suggest if we do have a, when we get a finalized presentation PowerPoint, I was wondering whether it would be possible to ship it around to the commission members before the meeting, just so that everybody has a chance to see that.
sure.
Be nice.
So we're not surprised when we come to the meeting.
Yeah, it actually will be, when they post the agenda packet, it will all be in there, including the
Okay.
presentation.
Okay,
So we'll use this as our test to see if it's really there. I will check, but I turn it in on the
Okay.
21st and then it gets put into the packet. So,
sure. So if you could send a link around to everybody, that would be good, just so.
yeah, and
It
just,
both help remind people and allow them to see the PowerPoint beforehand.
The link has already been sent around, but I'm sure we'd be happy to.
Yeah, I think it's probably not bad as a reminder, given that it's still almost 2 weeks out.
yeah, and I like to send out a reminder, for this to remind people to come in person.
Yeah.
Cause it's,
So I think that's also a good
yeah.
opportunity in that regard.
Okay.
Okay. And, yeah, I'm relatively available next week if we need to talk or.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as I've had a chance to show it to Jen, I'll send it to you.
Right, okay, sure. Like I said, I not heavily booked next week, so.
Okay. Great.
So shall we move on to recent acquisitions? I guess I'm interested, we've had a lot of conversation here at the table. Alan or Talai, did you have anything you want to suggest?
No, I didn't have anything.
Thank you, Alan.
I didn't have anything as well.
Thank you, July.
Okay, so then let's move on to the acquisitions.
Okay, so, I've been trying to go through and capture, when COVID happened, like, things kind of fell apart and a whole bunch of things fell through the cracks. And I've been trying to capture some of those things that did, and so this is one of those. We received this, donation in 2020. It's a digital copy of a historical photograph of Bridget Kenny. It was her family who came to Lacey to run the Lacey Hotel in the early 1900s. That was by the depot, and we didn't have a picture of her, so it was a very nice picture. So
Is that the source of Slater Kenny, or is that a different spelling?
it's a different, so that's Kinney, this is Kenny. Yeah. And then her daughters were also postmasters in Lacey, because the hotel was a natural location for the post office.
Yeah.
And so it's right by the depot.
Sure, that's all. I guess we have to make a motion in that regard.
Yes, please.
So, I would entertain a motion on this particular item.
I'll move we accept the gift to Julie Larson.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think we've approved it. We move from there to reports. And it looks like the Lacey Historical Society is represented here tonight. And they're pretty usually.
I'm speaking, but Cheryl and Monty are here as well, so you've got 4 out of 12 here at
Yeah.
your meeting.
And for the record, your name is?
Oh, Kendra Hensley, and I'm the current treasurer. So first I'd like to say, of your 500 and some people that watch YouTube, one of those is me. And I love that because when Monty and I aren't able to go to the history talks in person, we do listen later on the YouTube. And if you have not seen the presentation, the history talks for the Evergreen Ballroom, this place was packed and it was an
so good.
excellent presentation. So if you have not seen that, you probably want to see that. It was a good one. And so things that the Historical Society has been doing. We put out our 3rd newsletter last year. It came out in December. And it's the first year that we've been able to do 3 newsletters in 1 year. And a little bit bigger font based on feedback from our members. And I took the month of December off, and so we're back with Memorial Monday. And I'll get the Thursday thing going here pretty soon, not this week, but going. We're still working on our priorities for this year, which are bringing back the Memorial Garden or figuring out what to do with that. And figuring out an appropriate way to honor Dr. Ehlers. And one question we did have that to kind of throw out to you, it occurred to us that next year is 2026, and that will be the 60th anniversary of the city of Lacey. And we just didn't know if the city had any intention of doing something, and if they did, we certainly would entertain being a part of that. But we just wanted to put that out there so we weren't the only ones thinking about it.
Yeah, so we mentioned this to the city manager, and I don't know that anything is in the works, but they said that any sort of that kind of celebration comes from the city manager's office, so they'd be the best ones. But I can certainly pass along that you guys want to be a part of that if they do something. Okay.
So, and it doesn't have to be elaborate like a 50th or a 75th, but yeah, it might be kind of fun, especially with the new space. We're looking forward to seeing the new space, and
Us too.
maybe if we have a cake or something and something like that. But that's all I got. Yeah.
Well, I know you and I and those of us who are looking at it are familiar with what it is, but perhaps not the audience knows. What do you do on Mondays and what do you do on Thursdays?
Oh, okay.
What's the content?
Okay, so on Mondays,
Facebook, right?
on Facebook, so the people who came before us, the people for the Historical Society, they created a memory book, and it's these two huge scrapbooks. They're very fragile, but I suspect that at some point they'll end up in the museum, probably after I get done going through each of them. And they're old enough that the person who donated the tree or shrub or whatever flower that surrounds the old museum, what are we calling that house now?
The
Russell House.
Russell House. So they-
Memorial Garden
So the
around it.
Memorial Garden at the Russell House, family members or community members donated plants to that, and photos were taken. And so each person or family or organization that donated has a page in the scrapbook. And then there's a small write-up of interesting stuff about the person. And so what I do, because in many cases now, the person that did the donating has passed, because if they donated to their mom and dad and now they're gone. So I'm kind of going back and posting the photo, taking a picture out of the scrapbook, and then writing out in, so we can use it for later, what was said about the person, and then going out online to the Washington State Digital Archives and getting anything I can online. Could be from Thurston Talk, could be from Ken Bosley collection, could be stuff from the museum. This last week I went and took some photos of the radio display, because the gentleman I was writing about, for example, John Mangum, he was a 20-year plus Navy veteran who moved to Lacey and got really involved with a bunch of the animal organizations, you know, like I think the Sunrise Lions. And he was one of the people that helped put together the Civic Plaza, and also helped with the original display of the radio room that was at the Russell House now. And so it's important to capture those kind of things and know what people that we might not have heard of or might not have been a politician contributed and were active in making Lacey what it is, whether they were fourth generation or whether they were like us and are first generation. So just refreshing those stories a little bit, and anything I can find, looking up the headstones, looking up obituaries. I'm learning many skills of probably what a properly trained historian goes through to find things. And sometimes there's connections and ties to things I didn't know that I was gonna wanna know about, like the Civic Center. And I've got more information that I need to type up on what that monument is and how that came about, that the city was involved with. And then on Thursdays, what I had been doing before I went on vacation was interviewing different local businesses. And let me just give you an example of kind of how history connects all of us. And there was a presentation that I really appreciated on the 6 degrees of separation that the History Talks had. And how that works for us is, I took a page from our scrapbook and there was a lady named Norma in there. And so I'm working on Norma's story, and I came across Clue Jewelers. And so I went over there and interviewed Matt Clue for a Thursday story. So I had Norma's story on Monday and then the Clue Jewelers story on Thursday. They purchased her Volkswagen Bug that she used to haul her kids, and her husband had ended up, he worked for the, he was like a state auditor or something for many, many years. I probably have that, would need to go back and look at the notes, but he was very active with working for the state. And so probably it's having been a state employee for 23 years, it could have been my coworker that I was working with, and I would have never known that without doing this research. That now when you see the Clue Jeweler Bug driving around, that's a part of Norma's family is attached to that too, it's just kind of interesting.
It is.
And kind of exciting. And so I never know what I'm gonna stumble on. I interviewed a local veterinarian just because I was curious, why do you have a vet shop in the middle of where it is in a neighborhood and not around, and he had liked the house, and then the house ends up being one of the earliest houses here in Lacey. And it's still, he was very careful not to remodel, more restoration than remodel. And it was an old farmhouse
Where is
that,
that?
it's over by Tanglewild, and
Oh, okay.
it's in there, and there's original trees, and he had quite a story. And so I never know what I'm gonna stumble on when I just start talking to people. And they start telling me the story, and I do the best I can to document it and then put it out there. And yeah.
You're doing a great job. Just go to Facebook, Lacey
Yeah,
Historical
Lacey
Society,
Historical
and boom,
Society.
you're gonna see all the lists.
Some
Yeah.
great work you're doing, Kendra.
But it's
Well
it's a
done,
lot of
Kendra.
fun. So anyway, and we're very excited for the museum to open. We walked down there by the McDonald's and we're kind of scoping out the area. So we know it won't be, for a month or two, but we're still really excited about that.
Yeah. Let's
The
do
Bell
that.
Center one.
Yes, the
Yep.
Bell Center one. We want to make sure we knew where the Bell Center was.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much. I know with Kimberly not being here, we won't hear anything about the steps committee, so we might as well work on, reports from commissioners. John, you want to start
What is
us?
STEPS? What does it stand for?
Oh, it stands for, oh, now I'm put on the spot. Standards. Standards of excellent practice or something like that. Anyway, it's basically a program we belong to through the American Association of State and Local History.
Ah.
And a past group of commissioners went through the whole book and assessed the museum where it was at, and we had a policy committee, and so we joined it together. That program is called that.
So it has nothing to do with Fitbit.
No, which is why it has a lowercase t.
Hmm.
It's an acronym that I can't remember what it is right now.
It's okay.
I
It's the
can look it up.
standards and
Standards and practices.
practices. There you go.
Basically.
I like it.
So why don't we work our way around the table with, people's reports? You want to start off, John?
Well, I've already spouted all the things I'm working on with the Lacey Historical Society, of course. I am, again, curious about what we're gonna do about moving that, doing a fundraising part of the Lacey Museum, the new one, to be built one. Tell me again, when is the Lacey Community Foundation timeline for when they're gonna announce something?
So, let's see. They should be completing their work within the next 2 months.
Okay. So,
They have a contract.
around April 1st.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. And then, once they make their report or whatever, then some discussion will happen about how to involve community groups.
I'm not sure what the next step is, but I would assume so.
Okay, so I need to call my group and tell them the cooler jets until at least April. They want to write checks, I'm not kidding you.
Well, I want them to.
Yeah. Maybe I should say, send them to Aaron, write them out, make them out to Aaron.
I have a restricted account. I mean, if they want to send them, I have a restricted account, it will go in.
No, they want to give their piddly amount of money and expect the building to be up the next day.
Doesn't everyone? Yes, I do know how that works, as a matter of fact.
Ed, anything you want to report?
No, I don't know anything about raising money, I know that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna learn, I suppose.
Kevin?
Nothing to report?
Talai? Did you have anything you wanted to report?
No, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Alan, did you have anything?
I just wanted to report that the presentation on the Evergreen Ballroom was in fact very excellent. And I had a question for Aaron. Is that in the Evergreen Ballroom? Was it in the UGA or is it actually in the city limits?
It's in the UGA. Here, I'll pull up a map and show you.
Could you repeat the question? 'Cause
He wants to know where the Evergreen Ballroom was. Was it in
Ah.
Lacey?
Oh,
No, it's
It
outside.
was not.
On the Tacoma Highway.
yeah,
Yeah, Pacific Highway.
Pacific Avenue now, but yeah.
right outside of that and building
Okay,
here.
so can you see the map?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the Pacific Highway right here. I'm gonna switch to this. There it is,
There.
right here. You can
Yeah.
see that pad right there is where the ballroom was. And when she talked about that manager's house, it was over here.
Mm.
So the rack is right here. You go down Marvin and hang a left at that
Roundabout.
510, yeah. And you go down there on the right, it's right there. Does that help?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was in Lacey or not.
Yeah, it's not, it's in the UGA.
Thank you.
You bet.
Know where it was. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have anything particularly to report this round. I know that but the only thing I know about is that the rack kiosk is moving toward being officially opened. But we're probably thinking, for Aaron and I have talked about, it sounds like sometime here in the spring, like February, March. And so, but we haven't got any kind of date.
We're close to narrowing down a date. It's looking like it might be March 8th, but I don't know yet for sure.
That's it that I've got at this point.
Okay.
So I think we're on to your report.
Okay, so I'll be the third person to talk about the history talk on the Evergreen Ballroom. It was so fun. We had 43 people here in the room and 48 people online, making the total attendance 101, which is one of our top programs. So it was really cool. People obviously wanted to come and share, you know, in addition to hearing the presentation. So we've been talking about maybe doing something more informal where people can share experiences about stuff. So anyway, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it along with the others. It was, you could even, I was at home watching it and you could just sense how cool it was. People who'd played, you know, at the ballroom with their idols. It was really cool. And speaking of history talks, next month is going to be my presentation on the mystery of O.C. Lacey. After researching this topic for many years, I finally figured out who he was and why he came here. And I'm really excited to share that with everyone, and I hope we can pack the house. Because I'm really excited to finally be able to share it. So I have some good surprises.
We'll be there.
Yay, you're always there.
Yep, we'll be there.
Excellent. Okay, and we've had mention of the museum move a couple of times. So I'm sure you have sensed that things are going a little slower than we anticipated. We have some of the things that need to be done at the site that haven't been done yet to get the office area ready for us. And so we haven't been able to move our offices in there, so it's a combination of that. Plus we were trying really hard to spend 2024 money so that we would have our fresh budget to also spend. We have ordered a museum movable wall that's like an I shape if you look at it from the top. So it has a wall and then side panels so that we can really divide that room up and make it feel like an exhibit space. So that's coming. And then we're working on getting the platforms that will go with them. It's gonna look really professional, you guys. I am very excited. And I can't say enough about my staff. Felicia Rovic Cameron and Olivia Moore, they're wonders. I could not be doing this without them, that is for sure. So as soon as the office is ready, we are gonna hit the ground running and start moving. That isn't to say that nothing has been done. Olivia has been working her little tail off, trying to get the text done and the panels. She's been working on designing panels and researching artifacts. So all of that is totally in progress. So, as you may remember, we were working on an aviation exhibit. We had to put that on hold for the museum move. And so we're planning on doing that probably hopefully in the fall, because we were getting close to being able to start. I mean, we were ready to start writing and designing panels, so we were close. So in the meantime, we are gonna open with an exhibit that we're gonna call Bits and Bobs. Sounds a little British because Olivia's British and it was her idea, but Bits and Bobs, it's kind of a way to showcase things that are in the museum collection that maybe that don't have anything to do with each other, kind of like, you know, the Cabinet of Curiosities idea. Just fun, interesting things that are in our collection that maybe have never gotten the chance to come out, that have an interesting story or something interesting to say. And so I'm delighted to share that we're going to be putting Dr. Ehler's medical bag on exhibit. It is in quite a fragile state. Part of the reason that I have decided to go ahead and put it on exhibit, even though it's fragile, is because we can use that opportunity to build a nice mount for it, because the way it's being stored right now is not very good for it. So that will give us the opportunity to create something really supportive for it, both for exhibit and for storage. So we'll be doing that. I mean, I didn't even take it out of the box. That's how fragile it is. So, and just to add to that, we have an exhibit plan that's 3 to 5 years out. So we're working on exhibits after aviation too. We've already started work on those. So it just takes a really long time to put all this stuff together. There's a lot to do.
Could I interrupt right there? You're talking about the aviation. Are you doing something on the airport just down by the golf course there? I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
The airport in Tumwater.
What?
The airport in Tumwater, the Olympia Airport. That's the one we're talking about.
I'm talking about the one that's right by the school, down by Horizon School.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
You're not doing anything on that?
So
On that as part of the aviation, that's what I'm asking you.
So the aviation exhibit, a big focus of, so we're gonna be talking about early aviation in general. So basically from the inception of aviation through World War II. So
You won't even be talking about the time when they've got the airport building down there and the building where those people are alive and are all there and they've got planes and all that, you won't get to it.
no, it's
Not
an
yet.
early aviation exhibit. And the reason we're focusing on that is
Interview
because
that young lady right there.
Oh.
So at the people that we've had in some of the Memorial Mondays that we've been doing,
Mhm.
there's people like, Gwen Hicks, there's people there, I've come across a number of people in early Lacey that, were aviators. I know that some of them have donated some stuff to the museum, but there's different parts of history for aviation. And so back when from what I've been able to dig up from when World War II was happening, there was people in Lacey living here that wanted to know what they could do to help. And so they started some groups together and learning to fly. I was surprised at how many people in Lacey back in the 30s, 40s and 50s has pilot's license and planes and fly. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I was involved in the,
what I want to say.
when I moved into town here with that bondsman that built the airport down on the main street down here. I don't know, right
haven't
by
heard
the
of it.
Horizon School. And that was really interesting because what he did, he let people work out there to pay their bonds off. And most of those people in there are older than we are. And they've got really nice houses. And a lot of them have airplanes inside their garages down there. Now, you're not gonna be able to wait 20 years and talk to those people.
And
'Cause I'm not gonna be here 20 years and they aren't either.
but what are some of the last names? Cause I have not come across that.
We should let her finish her
Yeah,
report.
yeah,
Okay.
and then I
You guys
can look that up.
Caucus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's
We'll get
what I
to
wanted to
our-
do. I didn't know where to get there.
We'll get on our society.
Okay, so just to quickly sum up the aviation exhibit. So the reason we're focusing on early aviation is because, like Kendra mentioned, Gwen Hicks, was a local person who gave his collections to the museum. And so we have his photograph collection and document collection related to his aviation career, and he was the second manager at the Olympia Airport. And a part of that whole thing, the thing that sort of made this impetus for this exhibit was that when they were putting together this pilot program to train pilots, because they could see on the horizon that World War II was coming and they needed more pilots, because it was clear that the war was going to be fought in the air. And because Jack Cram, who was working for the federal government under the guy who developed this program, was from Olympia. He had been the first manager at the Olympia Airport. Through him, St. Martin's was one of 13 schools that tested this program out before it was made a federal law. And so one of 13 schools, and St. Martin's in Little Lacey is one of them. And it then became this countrywide program to train pilots. So ground school, the in-person instruction was held at St. Martin's, and the flight school was held at the Olympia Airport. And even more interesting, from my opinion, is that because the instructor they had was a woman, they had to allow a woman to provide instruction at the school, and they had no women teachers or women students, and it had to be a special dispensation, but there was no one else. She was the one. And so there's a picture of her with these guys that she is training. And this lady, oh my God, she used to parachute out of airplanes and walk on the wings. She was crazy, but awesome. So we have got this incredibly rich local history in early aviation that I don't think people know anything about. And that's why we're doing the exhibit, and that's why the time frame is what it is. So in addition to that St. Martin story, we're also going to profile local aviators from that era, including a number of women and people of color. So I think it's going to be really popular. I think people are going to really dig it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're partnering with the Lacey Makerspace to help us build some props for the exhibit, which is
Wow.
if we pay for the materials, they'll give us a good discount on the labor. So it's a really nice partnership.
It is.
Okay. So I'm done talking about the new museum. The Lacey Women's Club, we are working with them and our attorney on getting the deed language changed to remove the historical uses requirements. And so we're gonna have to just basically redo the deed to be it with no, restrictions. And so I just need to kind of get them together to do that. But that's where we're at with that. And then the historic preservation project to do the assessments of the Jacob Smith House, the McKinney House, and the Long Lake House. That is in progress. I just had their researcher here yesterday for the second time. So that's ongoing. The wetland survey has come in. And so basically there will be more in depth. I'm just going to give you like really broad strokes. Because that wasn't something I did, that was something the senior parks planner did. But basically everything to if you're facing the house, everything to the left is like wetland, open space, and you can't build that direction.
What house?
The McKinney House, sorry,
House,
thank you. And then everything to the right is possible to build on. Ish. Anyway, so, but it's zoned open space, so that's a barrier as well. So I don't know where we're going from here, but that's my update on that.
That's the one the mayor wants to rehab. Right?
Correct.
McKinney House.
The McKinney House.
And when will that report be fully done?
We have asked them to be done by the end of March.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. I'm working on scheduling their site visit so that they can look inside the houses as well. Yeah, that is my total report.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
And maybe you can't answer, but if we ballparked March first might be when Bell Center opens?
I'm hopeful. I think it will be March. I don't know that it'll be March 1st, but I feel
In March.
it in my bones right now, it's feeling like March.
Okay.
As soon as we get the word, we can start
Telling people.
going gung ho. Okay.
So
My
now you
report
can
is
put on
done.
Jen's hat.
There's not a lot. I actually already gave her report on the new museum. I know she wasn't feeling well because she put things in the wrong spot on the form, but anyway, that's okay. Basically, the only thing really is that I wanted to remind you, you guys all should have gotten emails about the stipend reminder. The city clerk's office will be routing the stipend program opt-in, opt-out forms that need to be completed for 2025, and this is something that has to be done annually. I'm so sorry, but it's just the way it is. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your term or if you've completed the form before, and they're due by February 28th. And then also they'll be putting out that demographic survey again that they do as well. So that's pretty much it.
So does anybody have any questions for Erin? In either of her roles? I hear none. So with that, we've completed our agenda for the evening. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Move to adjourn.
If not, we've got to move to adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I think we're officially adjourned for the evening. I do want to remind, before you click off, I want to remind everybody to, if they possibly can, to be here at 6 o'clock for the council meeting on the 28th.
Yeah.
Thank you.